Hi guys, hope you all had a good weekend. We've kicked off here with a reasonably positive morning for the markets. Just looking at the medium term chart here, so we're looking at the whole of September. Obviously back end of last week, 3 down days in a row, off the back of some worse than expected data that kind of just halted that 10 or 2 week uptrend that we'd seen, and we'd just come off back. And I'm just looking here at the medium term sort of Fibonacci retracement levels, which are certainly important if the profit taking, if the correction lower continues this week. Although from this morning's activity, it looks like we're going to head back higher, but you need to be aware of these fib levels. So we've just actually gone back above the 38.2 level at 1041.75. This coincides with our technical level at 1041, which has been in play on Friday, and we're back above there this morning. I was looking at the back end of last week. I was looking at the 50% level, which is down at 1031.25. So if we do head lower at any point today, I think that's a key level in terms of the picture for the week. If we hold above there, that'll be good. This is a good technical level, a good sort of pivot point for the week, I would say, down at 1031.25. But this morning, let me zoom in here. We'll have a look at Friday's action and what's been going on this morning. As you can see, it's been pretty flat. This morning, the Asian markets had a pretty bad session, down between 2 and 3% across the board. And even though that's the case, we've actually started off reasonably positive, and having kind of tested Friday's lows down at 1036.25, we tested those earlier on, 2:45 a.m. this morning, tested that bottom, held firm, bounced along there for a while before trending higher ever since. We did have a sell-off again, just coming into the close of the Asian session, but we didn't quite get down to that level. So this is quite a good level now, quite a good level of support for the market, 1036.25. Double bottom here, so a bottom from Friday's session, a bottom overnight. Okay, so that's a good support level for us to take reference from. But even on the back of a bad Asian session, it's the M&A stories again that are resurfacing and are kind of lifting the sentiment in the marketplace. So we've had quite a lot of M&A stories over the weekend. We've got Xerox buying, are going to bid for affiliated computer services. It's a deal that might be worth $6.4 billion. We've got Abbott Labs buying a Belgian drugs company, Solvay, for $6.6 billion cash. We've got Johnson & Johnson buying an 18% stake in Crucell for $444 million. And the story that's been trundling on for the last few weeks now, the Kraft Cadbury saga. We've got rumours that Kraft are about to launch a hostile bid for Cadbury's this week, reportedly worth around about $17.6 billion. So that they will up their offer there. Also the cable situation, the dollar sterling certainly helps out in this deal, because we had quite a lot of sterling weakness at the back end of last week following the Bank of England's Governor Mervyn King saying that a weak sterling is actually a positive thing in terms of the UK's economic recovery. So we've had sterling weakness, which actually will certainly help Kraft in that bid, because obviously the sterling based company Cadbury's becomes a lot cheaper just purely from the exchange rate point of view. So a lot of M&A activity that's really kind of counterbalance the bad session in Asia, and we've headed higher this morning. So it's actually quite a positive sort of feeling out there, not one of huge positivity, but positive nonetheless off the back of 3 down days in a row. And I think what's key today is 1049. In my morning report, I've been talking a lot about the 1049 to 1041 range that we had in play really from the end of following Thursday's sell-off Friday's session, as you can see here, was confined into that range for large parts of the session until, during the US lunchtime, when we actually did finally break through 1041. We made a bottom at 1036.25 before returning back above there. I think 1049 is a key level now. It was tested numerous times on Friday. Each time the resistance level held firm. If I just zoom back a little bit here, really after Thursday's steep sell-off, 1049 was tested twice on Thursday, and it was tested several times on Friday. And I think if we get above the 200 moving average here on my 15-minute chart that we're testing right now at 1045, if we get above here, I certainly see a test at 1049. Whether or not this M&A activity is going to provide enough upside stimulus for it to get through that level remains to be seen. Possibly not. What other drivers have we got in the market today? Well, not actually that much, because the data today is actually not particularly important. We've got two, I would say, not insignificant, but certainly not hugely important data releases. At 1:30 we've got Chicago Fed National Activity Index, and at 3:30 we've got the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. Okay, so very much regional indices that aren't particularly headline numbers, but that's all we've got to go on today in terms of economic data releases. The week ahead is incredibly busy. After today, it really gets going with some important data. We've got the S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index tomorrow, also consumer confidence tomorrow, which is a big one. Wednesday kicks off our kind of build up to the Friday's non-farm payrolls. So Wednesday we've got ADP employment report, we've also got GDP, and we've got Chicago PMI. Thursday we've got personal income, obviously the weekly jobless data, and then Friday really the main event with non-farm payrolls, unemployment, and also factory orders on Friday. So it's a very, very busy week in terms of economic data, not so much today, but from tomorrow onwards. So I think today, we may well drift up to that 1049 area. I see us testing that. I think the mood out there is reasonably good. We had a down week last week, dropped about 2.2% for the S&P, so off the back of those 3 down days in a row, really particularly sharp losses on Wednesday and Thursday. So it's all about the data again this week. So last week we had the first sort of indication that the data's not quite hitting targets, and that hasn't been the case for quite some time. So we'll see whether the data gets back on track this week, and of course non-farm payrolls is incredibly important. As I'm speaking, we're still testing this 200 moving average here. I think we'll get above there and maybe test the 1049 before the cash open. But it could be a reasonably quiet day because of the fact the data calendar is so light. So we may well establish this range again, 1049 down to the sort of maybe 1043.75 area, which was a level from Friday. So it might be a quietish day. Volumes may well be quite light. People waiting on the sidelines for the more significant data coming up. So be patient out there, and be selective with your entry points, and have a good day. Thanks a lot.